For over a decade, Rickie Fowler was golf's ultimate enigma, brimming with talent, draped in orange, and a fixture on every major leaderboard from Augusta to St. Andrews. Fowler was once the face of the next generation, a players' champion, a Ryder Cup staple, a top 5 machine. But somewhere between the promise and the payoff, the swing slipped. The winds dried up. The buzz faded. By 2025, Rickie wasn't just off the radar, he was almost off the map. And yet Colonial happened. Out of nowhere, everything clicked again. The Charles Schwab Challenge is no pushover. Nestled into the old-school confines of Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth, Texas, it's one of the most demanding tests of precision golf on the PGA Tour. The wind swirls deceptively. The fairways pinch in at exactly the wrong time. And the field? Loaded. By all metrics, this wasn't the kind of track where aging hopefuls found their stride again. And yet, there he was, Rickie Fowler, teeing off in silence and finishing the day as the loudest headline in golf. What made his second round 64 so striking wasn't just the number, it was the calm. Fowler didn't hole out from the fairway. He didn't need a miracle bounce or a miracle putt. What he delivered was clean, clinical, composed. 8 birdies, 4 on each side, no bogeys, and not a single shot that looked panicked or forced. It was vintage Fowler. But better. It wasn't flair, it was control, and that's what caught everyone off guard. Perhaps the most telling moment came at the par 4 18th. Fowler split the fairway with a confident tee shot, flushed an iron to 15 feet, and rolled in the putt with the kind of body language that said, "This isn't a fluke, I'm back." No fist pump, no look to the crowd, just a quiet nod, and a walk into the scoring tent that turned heads across the tour. We've seen Rickie go low before, but not like this, and not when no one expected it. It started with a gentle ripple, a birdie at the second, and before anyone could blink, it became a wave. Rickie Fowler wasn't just playing well at Colonial on Friday, he was dismantling it. Shot by shot, putt by putt, Fowler began building what would become one of the most efficient and clinical rounds of the entire 2025 PGA Tour season. And yet, if you weren't watching closely, you might have missed just how extraordinary it really was. This wasn't just low scoring, it was laser-focused execution. From holes 4 to 7, Fowler rattled off 3 birdies and a par in a stretch that most players were just trying to survive. His iron into the par 3 fourth landed like a dart, 4 feet past the pin. At the 5th, he drained a slick 22-footer across the grain like it was Sunday at Augusta. By the time he reached the turn, he was 4 under, tied for 8th and rising. What followed was pure throttle. Fowler birdied 10, 11, and 13, all coming from inside 12 feet. His strokes gained. Approach ranked second in the field by day's end, and he was third in putting. But the stat that told the real story? 0 dropped shots. 0 scrambling needed. Fowler hit 16 of 18 greens in regulation. The 2 he missed, he left himself inside 10 feet both times. The margin for error didn't exist because he didn't need one. It wasn't a comeback round, it was a control round, and everyone felt it. CBS's Trevor Immelman said it best mid-broadcast. This is some of the sharpest iron play we've seen from Fowler in years. He's not guessing anymore. He knows what he's doing with the ball. Twitter lit up. Even fellow pros like Max Homa commented, "That Rickie tempo today, filthy." For a man who used to lean into flair, this was a different kind of weapon. Silence, precision, mastery. It wasn't just a good round, it was vintage, but with a new edge. On paper, Rickie Fowler's second round 64 at Colonial was another number in the record books, another red circle on the leaderboard. But if you followed Fowler's journey, the highs of 2014, the winless drought, the slow fade into golf's background noise, this round wasn't just golf. It was personal. And what made it hit even harder? It came when it mattered most. This wasn't Rickie playing well again. This was Rickie proving he still belonged at all. Fowler is 36 now, not old by tour standards, but in the current PGA landscape, he's an elder statesman. The leaderboard is crowded with players half his age, with swing speeds that defy physics and resumes that already rival his. Ludwig Oberg, Akshay Bhatia, Miles Russell. These aren't tomorrow's stars, they're today's winners. And in that climate, there's no room for nostalgia. This round didn't protect his past, it defended his future. Critics have been loud in recent years. Overhyped. Too commercial. Nice guy, but not a killer. Even after his 2023 comeback win, many wondered if it was lightning in a bottle. Golf.com's headline summed it up best. This felt like a statement, not a fluke. Because that's what this was, a hard reset on the narrative. Not Rickie's back, but Rickie still has something to say. And that changes everything about what comes next. There's more than pride on the line. This performance has Ryder Cup implications, FedEx Cup positioning, contract renewals, sponsor bonuses. At 36, every top 10 matters. Every win keeps exemptions alive for another year. And more importantly, every round like this puts him back in the locker room conversation, not as the fun guy with cool shoes, but as a threat. This wasn't about winning, it was about belonging again. And when you've been counted out as often and as casually as Fowler has, that matters more than anything a trophy can say. In modern golf, comebacks aren't uncommon, sir. They're expected. Every year a new headline surfaces. Player X is back, but more often than not, the spark fades before it becomes fire. The climb is brutal. The pressure is relentless, which is why what Rickie Fowler is doing in 2025 feels different. This isn't a nostalgic flare-up. This feels like a blueprint for staying power. Comebacks aren't rare. What is rare? Making them stick. Look at the cautionary tales. Jason Day, once a world number one, found himself lost in a sea of injuries and swing changes. Jordan Spieth, still brilliant but never quite recaptured that ruthless 2015 edge. Even Brooks Koepka, despite major success, battles consistency week to week. The margin in modern golf is razor thin, especially for veterans. Yet Fowler's method seems to reject panic and embrace adaptation. Over the past 18 months, Fowler hasn't overhauled his identity. He's tweaked smartly. His putting stroke, once the wobbly heart of his struggles, is now stabilized with a more upright posture and lighter grip pressure. According to ESPN's early 2025 player tracking, Fowler ranks 8th on tour in strokes gained putting. A massive leap from his 2022 numbers, where he didn't crack the top 80. His swing is looser now, but more controlled. Less aggressive, more precise. He's no longer chasing 330 yards off the tee, he's chasing fairways. And it's paying off. His strokes gained, tee to green this season, is nearly identical to players like Sahith Theegala and Cam Young. Both names 10 years his junior and still considered future stars. Quietly, Fowler's metrics are elite again, but the real shift isn't in stats. It's in presence. Fowler doesn't just look like he belongs to Wayne's, he carries himself like he never left. And that may be the model future players study. Not a single flashback, but a recalibrated version of yourself built to survive modern golf's mental furnace. Rickie Fowler's week at Colonial may have started in the shadows, but it ended with a spotlight many thought had moved on. The question now isn't whether the performance was impressive, it's whether it was sustainable. And with a jam-packed summer schedule ahead, we're about to find out just how real this version of Rickie truly is. He's been the future. He's been the underdog. What if now he's the legend? Looking ahead, Fowler is slated to tee it up at the Memorial, followed by the US Open at Oakmont, a venue that demands both precision and poise. Then it's on to the Travelers and the Scottish Open, all before the Open Championship in July. If his form holds, these aren't just tournaments. They're opportunities to rewrite his place in the golf hierarchy. Every finish carries FedEx Cup weight. Every week could be a resume reset. And maybe, just maybe, this isn't a flicker. It's the fire rekindled. The timing couldn't be more dramatic. The tour is in flux. Live Eve chatter lingers. Young stars are rising by the month, and yet here comes Fowler. Not just keeping up, but outplaying most. Not as a novelty, but as a factor. As of this week, he's jumped inside the top 40 in the OWGR, putting him squarely in the Ryder Cup conversation, something unimaginable 12 months ago. This isn't just a return to form, it's a return to relevance. Still, golf is brutal. The line between momentum and memory fades fast. We've seen players dazzle for 3 rounds and vanish for seasons. So we ask the question that looms over every comeback. Is this the rebirth of Rickie Fowler, or just the final flash before the light fades? What just happened to Rickie Fowler wasn't just unexpected, it's something we've never seen before. A veteran reinventing himself on his terms.